Hello, and welcome to a tutorial on editing demand drivers. Demand drivers are the underlying sort of macroeconomic links to our energy service demand. So demand drivers, as we click on the table here, consist of things like housing units, population, agriculture, crops, agriculture, other, our value of shipments in certain industries, so basically projections of industrial activity, and we have square footage projections, things like that, and editing these will alter the service demands of the energy system to which they are linked. So some of our service demands are linked to number of households, for example, and so households would be a service demand that we could edit to then change the service demand for things like clothes washing, clothes drying, etc. So we're going to do a really simple edit here of population. This is basically the simplest way we can edit a driver to see its effects on the energy system, and that is to actually just by editing the record directly. So for example, we have population projections here. The input type is 1, and what that means is that the input that you are inputting is in terms of a total. And so what that means is we are inputting total people. We are not inputting people per household. We're not inputting anything like that. This is just an absolute number. So it's in terms of millions of people. So we have a unit prefix here to say that the data we enter is actually going to be used in the model as the data times this unit prefix. The geography that is used in this input is a census division. So what that means is our projections of population are actually on a census division. There are no additional other indexes to that data, so they're not by household or things like that. We use a map key to map across different geographical representations. So in this case, we actually have a demand driver of population, which is geography map key 3, and so we use that. So what that means is we have the data input on a census division basis. We can actually allocate that down to a county level based on county level GIS population data. These projections are interpolated and extrapolated in this case using our cleaning methods. And the cleaning method we're employing here is a linear regression. So we don't have a population projection all the way up to 2050, and so we're creating a regression of our population projection so that we can extend that out to 2050. And so that is the record definition here. The data that we are trying to enter is parent ID 2. And so parent ID 2 is millions of people. Again, actually back to 1980, some of our data. It has the geography units of census division. So 58, for example, is the census division East, North, Central. So what this says is for our population record in East, North, Central in the year 1980, we had 41.67 million people. And so to edit this driver, we would be editing this time series data. So historical would probably stay the same, but potentially we would want to lessen or increase our actual population projection out to 2040. You can do a side analysis. You can have input your own population projections. This would be how to basically change this underlying time series data. That would result in different projections through the rest of the model, depending on what populations is actually linked to. A caveat in terms of performing this as a sensitivity, it's important to understand sort of intimately how this connects to your service demands. So, for example, if we have a if we have a projection of service demand that you think the population might alter, but it is not actually explicitly linked to this, we're not going to get an effect in the actual energy system. So it's important to note that. This is probably the least useful of our sensitivities. I'm sorry you're at the end of this video by the time I'm telling you that. But the better ways are generally to alter the energy services demand directly, because you sort of have more control over that as opposed to one step away altering that underlying relationship. So just a caveat there, but that is how you perform a sensitivity on a demand driver. That's how you would edit an existing demand driver, run the model, and see how that changes the answer. If you wanted to keep the old data and add the new data, you would actually need to add a new demand driver. So for example, you might want to do a new driver that is population estimate high or something of that nature, and then that driver would have a different ID, and you would need to find where it propagates in the rest of the model and change those references. So for example, if population is used in, let's go to demand service demand, see if population is used anywhere. Yes, for example, in passenger seat miles, in the aviation subsector, it has an underlying driver of population. And so if you added a new driver, say driver 99, that was population high, you would actually need to edit it here so that it's using the appropriate driver. So that's a different way of performing this sensitivity. So that is it for underlying demand driver editing in terms of performing a sensitivity. Thank you.